Chapter 30. As I walked over to get the ball, I suddenly became conscious of the entire school watching me and every little thing about me. The way I swung my arms when I walked, the expression on my face, the tiny little squeaks from my sneakers. Don't trip, I told myself. Also, don't burp, fart, or look stupid. I took the ball from Miss Nicholson. She gave me a nice smile and whispered, "Good luck!" "Go, Lucy!" shouted Madison. "Woohoo!" A couple of people also clapped. That made me feel better. I looked around one more time for someone from my family. Kenny, my mom, Yipo, but I couldn't see anyone. Don't overthink it. It's you, the ball, and the basket. That's all you need to worry about. I dribbled twice, bent my knees, and held my breath. Then I exhaled and released the ball. The ball floated through the air and neatly dropped into the net. One. I had won. At the very least, it wasn't going to be a shutout. "Keep it going, Lucy!" yelled Madison. "Keep going. Don't hurry, but don't stop for too long either. Dribble twice, bend knees, hold breath. Exhale, release." The next two balls went in. Now I was up for number 4. If this one went in, I would beat Sloane in free throws. Come on, you can do 4 in your sleep. The ball went up and caught on the rim. It rolled around the rim. Please go in, please go in. The ball hesitated a moment and then slid through the net. After that, I hit my groove. 5, 6, 7. The crowd was starting to get excited. They started calling out the number after each basket. 8, they chanted after the ball bumped the backboard and fell in. 9, I could hear Madison slap the floor with her hands, the way we did during our games. 10, that's when I made my mistake. I looked into the crowd instead of keeping my eyes on the basket. Harrison was looking straight at me, with the biggest smile on his face. He wasn't mad at me. He must have realized I was looking at him because he picked up his crutch and gave a little wave. Harrison isn't mad at me? He doesn't hate me? That's what I was thinking when I shot number 11, which might explain why the ball decided to fly out of my hands and hit the back of the iron and go out. Maybe the only thing worse than missing a shot was having an entire gym full of people groan when I did it. I wanted to reach out, snatch back that moment in time, and do it over. And have my family there, too. I thought of all the cans Mrs. Connors had brought in. The 7 extra free throws I had made were not going to make up for that. I looked over at Madison. She was staring at people counting the cans with a worried look on her face. Mrs. Nicholson finished talking with one of the PTA moms, and she picked up her microphone. She motioned for Sloane and me to stand next to her. "Let's give a hand for Lucy and Sloane, shall we?" She lightly clapped her free hand against the microphone. "They both did a wonderful job, but we now have the results to determine the team captain for 6th grade. Mrs. Nicholson slipped on the glasses she wore around her neck on a little chain. Looking at a little piece of paper, she announced, "You should all be very proud of yourselves. Together we have collected 449 cans of food for Helping Hearts Food Pantry." There was another burst of applause. So, without further ado, in an extremely tight contest, the team captain of the 6th grade team, with 234 total points, is... I closed my eyes. That's all I heard, though. The "is" hanging in the air like a huge deflating tire. S for Sloane, it just had to be. But I didn't hear another word because there was a commotion like a flock of chickens at the door to the gym. I opened my eyes and looked. For a moment I thought I was in the middle of another dream. Yipo walked into the dream, then Kenny, then Mr. Chen. then about a dozen other members from Yipo's mahjong group. They were all carrying shiny red and blue cans that I recognized from the Chinese grocery store. They were also arguing in loud, cheerful voices in Chinese. Kenny looked at me and lifted his hands, palms up. "Sorry," he mouthed. "Got lost." "What's going on here?" snapped Mrs. Jurgensen. "I need time to give a math quiz today." Talent jumped up and led Miss Phelps over to the group. Miss Phelps held out her arms to collect the cans as Miss Connors marched over. What happened next was pretty funny, at least from where I was standing. Even from the back, Mrs. Connors was all furious angles and points. One elbow jutted out from her side. A long, sharp finger slashed the air. It didn't help that she was wearing pointy shoes. Meanwhile, Miss Phelps was a cloud of round, soft happiness. Her arms curved protectively around the cans. A gentle smile lit up her face. She tilted her head to one side, listening to Mrs. Connors. Then I heard her say in a clear, sweet voice, "But if all your cans are counted, because this is for charity, then certainly these cans should count also." "Go, Miss Phelps!" I cheered silently. Mrs. Nicholson strode over to the two women and listened for a few moments. She must have been working some heavy principal mojo, because when she was done talking, both Miss Phelps and Mrs. Connors stopped arguing and looked very serious. She nodded curtly and walked back to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse a slight interruption. I would like to say that the voting for team captain has now officially closed, and now it is time to announce the team captain of the sixth graders." The entire gym held its breath. Mrs. Nicholson paused slightly. "The team captain for sixth graders is Lucy Wu."